What's up, guys? Welcome to Off Topic. I am one of your hosts, Kadeem.
And I am Doug. Welcome to the show, guys. Kadeem, we've known each other for a long, long time.
Yeah, more than
We
10 years.
dis- we discuss everything together. We talk about literally all kinds of things, and we've decided to finally turn it into a podcast.
Yep.
What took us so long to get to this point? Because when I asked you, I didn't believe it was going to happen. So, what made you think we could do it this time?
Like you said, we talk about everything anyway, from sports, superheroes, anime, video games. We talk about so much anyway, and obviously it's popular stuff that other people like. So it'd be fun to get everybody else's input, I guess.
Yeah, and then when I asked you, I was like, he's not going to want to do this, but I went for it anyway. You said yes, so here we are. Um, what is it now? We met 12 years ago, 11 years ago at Jimmy John's.
Sounds about right. 2011.
Um, we have a mutual friend. He got me the job at Jimmy John's. You were already working there, slinging sandwiches. I started in as a driver. Now, were you a delivery driver also when I started?
When you started, no, I was on the line, and
Yeah.
then I eventually did delivery.
Okay, yeah. So we used to just we would talk about Drake, music.
Yes.
Like we had a crazy manager. I don't even remember his name anymore. That guy was always making up a story about something, literally something.
I'm not going to say his name on here.
But he literally was always talking about something. One of the greatest goalies in history of soccer, if you asked him.
Yeah.
But so 11, 12 years later, here we are, still friends, as close as can be. We talk all the time. And we're bringing you guys a podcast, Off Topic, with K and D. Now, other names were discussed. Other names probably should have won.
Other names were shot down.
But here we are. Kadeem, what are we gonna start off with today?
So we are starting off with the return of who many people say is the greatest fighter to ever touch the octagon.
Yes.
Jon
Jones, man. Jon Jones. So, little backstory. Last night you came over. You watched the fights with me and the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Kids were crazy. They were all over you. They wanted to show you everything in the house.
This is
It was
true.
a fun night. Jon came out like nothing ever changed. 3 years away, choked out Surreal in 2 minutes. Like you said, feels like he cemented himself as the GOAT. Was already the GOAT for a lot of people. It's pretty much impossible to dispute now. What did you think? Seeing him back in there after 3 years.
Unfortunately, this is what Jon has always been. Since he came in, he's been the most dominant fighter in the UFC. No one really ever had an answer for him. I mean, you can tell that by his record. You can tell that by his record amount of title defenses. There's never been a good answer for Jon Jones. And he went up 40 pounds, took 3 years off, came in, and he's still the best one to possibly do it. It's not even close, I don't think.
Now, when you say there's nothing that can derail Jon Jones, are you excluding crack and things of that nature when you say that?
No one in an octagon has an answer.
I just want to double check because
now the plastic cup has beaten Jon Jones more than once.
A lot of hot piss in his career. Completely impressed. I thought maybe there would be a little more resistance out of Gon, but super impressive. What can you say about the guy besides, anything in the octagon? He was always incredible.
And he's such a great villain.
Oh man, calling Gon a pussy after the fight, just like what he just doesn't care. And then already having an after party, this guy's just such. It's so easy for him to just like him. It's just so easy to dislike him.
And it's not like Conor, where Conor I actually think is deep down a nice guy, but he was performing and putting on a show.
Yeah.
Jon is not a nice person. No. Jon is very naturally a bad guy.
And that's what when we were watching, the first thing he says when he gets on the mic with Rogan is he goes into his little tangent about God and how everything runs through God.
Mm-hmm.
And if God's out there, you're not the spokesperson, but you're just not that guy. And he's out there pointing to the ceiling. Thank you for the prayer warriors, and it's just like it just grinds my gears so much.
But he is.
And I feel like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, no, he's proof that the villain wins in real life. Like he is the bad guy who keeps coming out on top.
All right, let's get into this because you and I just got done Last of Us episode 8. Holy shit, man. Like you told me, so just a little background on what we've been going on. We've pretty much talked about every episode up until now, back and forth. You've played the game. You know kind of where everything's headed. I don't. I'm going in blind. I'm asking questions as we're going. I didn't know what to expect in this episode. So as a guy who's played the game, give me a little bit before we get into the meat and potatoes of this episode.
I think the best thing, the thing that shows you how great this show is the fact that it's one of my favorite games ever. I've played it and beaten it multiple times, and I'm just as mesmerized after every episode as you are, who's going in blind. I always say every change they've made has been one that was absolutely perfect. It's the right decision. We're talking about episode 8, and there were some slight pulls away from the game that we got in the show. Probably the biggest one, and it's the same thing that's been different in every episode. Because it's a game, there's more action in it. There's always going to be more action and more fighting in the game.
Right.
And in the game, David and Ellie, remember when he went into that warehouse to hide out?
Yeah.
In the game, a huge horde of infected come in, and that's who they have to fight.
Okay.
So that brings them closer together, and it kind of develops some trust.
Okay.
Before he tells them, we know who you really are, and we're coming after you. So that's probably the biggest departure from the game.
Okay, and then in the game, is David a cult leader? Like, is that what he's going for? Because that's the vibe I got right away from him, because of the religious side of it, and then the way they kind of follow him, and the way he kept talking about his following as a shepherd, things like that. He gave me a cult leader vibe. Was that in the game, or was that just my opinion?
So in the game, he's definitely the leader of a town. One of the biggest differences from the game to the show is in the game, all we see is Ellie and Joel's perspective. Right. So any conversation that doesn't have Ellie and Joel in it, we're just never going to see. So we don't get to see the background of him, saying, we're going to go out there, we're going to go after. All we see is it from Ellie's perspective. So it's pretty much the same character. I don't really remember him being that religious in the game, but I thought it was a nice touch.
Right. So that might just have been a little bit of me thinking that and seeing that. I want to shout out, I think they've done a cool job getting voice actors involved in the show. Like you pointed out right away, James in the show voiced Joel in the games. Mm-hmm. That was super cool. I mean, and they've had that happen obviously throughout. His brother in the show, Tommy, is voice of the other voice actor. There's just a lot of cool stuff that they've intertwined in the game that I wanted to give a shout out, because I think those actors have done a great job in the roles they've been stepped up and given in the actual show. Ellie, man, what a badass episode for her. Oh my God. So what I wanted to start with was the end of that episode was brutal in the best ways possible.
Mm-hmm.
She is stepping up. She's kicking ass. She's doing what needs to be done to help her and Joel get to the next spot. What are you taking away from Ellie in the show right now?
From a thematic standpoint, I love the role reversal. How up until now, Joel's been the one who watches out for danger. Joel's been the fighter. Joel's been the one who provides. With Joel out of commission, Ellie has to basically take everything she's seen Joel do and more to try and take care of Joel when he's down. So from a thematic side, I love the role reversal. I remember in the game, when I got to play with Ellie, I was so excited, and I was also scared Joel was going to die. But it's probably the best part to play in the game, because you do get to use Ellie, and she does things so differently. It's really a magnificent sequel.
And then now I don't know how this would work in real life, but I don't know. Does 2 penicillin shots bring you back from getting stabbed open like that?
I was glad that they gave it the time they did
Yeah.
because it was really more than 24 hours and two good shots. So even if they want to say Joel wasn't 100%, they made it believable, I guess, that he could get up and limp around.
And you know what I liked is he went right back to just being a badass right away. Stabbed that dude square in the neck, and then tortured the other guy. When he said he would pop his kneecap off with the knife, I was, oh man, that episode just had me pumped. I was
Mhm.
feeling energy from that episode.
And I
They
love,
really ramped up the blood and the
mhm.
violence in that episode, and I appreciate that because we're getting to the point. We're hitting that peak where we need to be. Um,
I thought this was a great way to really solidify their bond.
yes.
They've obviously been getting closer and closer, and you saw last episode, episode 7. I'm sorry, episode 6. The last time we saw those two together
Yep.
is when Joel said, "No, Tommy, you take her. You'll do better with it," and they end up going together still. And then this time, you see just how far he's willing to go for Ellie when he kills the one guy and he said, "I'm not telling you everything. I'm not telling you anything." He told you everything. He said, "Oh, it's okay. I believed him."
Yeah.
And at this point, it's just punishment for coming after Ellie.
Right.
And I love seeing how far he's willing to go at this point. And even at the end when he hugs her and calls her baby girl.
Right.
Like this is the surrogate, or I'm not surrogate, but the father-daughter relationship is fully locked in.
Yeah, and it took her turning around and seeing Joel and
Mhm.
feeling the embrace for her to actually calm down and realize that she's out of that situation.
Mhm.
For me, this was the second best episode of the season so
Mhm.
far. I don't know if they're going to be able to top season episode 3 because I think
Probably
probably
not.
probably the best episode of TV that we'll see this year. Now, I know a lot of people have a lot of dislike for that episode, which I find insane, but I would say this is the second best episode of the season. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. If I had to rank them, it would be episode 3, which easily a 10 out of 10, and the most surprising departure of the game, but was still really good.
Mhm.
This one, episode 9, and then I thought episode 5 was really good as well.
I think you have them out of order. This was episode 8.
I'm sorry. Okay, this one, episode 8, and then I thought episode 5 was really good. The one where we saw Henry and Sam.
Oh yeah, I would say
I would have that third.
this is very close.
Yep.
If Henry and Sam was a 9, this is probably a 9.2, like a 9.25 type thing. Yep, you were right about Henry and Sam. Last of Us has just been such a fantastic show. I've really enjoyed this. I can't wait till we get to talk about it next week again because I'm just so pumped. The fact that we have to wait a week bothers me more than anything.
I mean, this is really going to be the gold standard moving forward for adapting a piece of media into a show.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's going to be so difficult going forward because this is such a high bar.
Casting is fantastic. Set pieces are so. I said to myself, like, even if they called this something else, just off how the set is put together, I would know it's Last of Us.
Yeah. Okay.
The world they've created is so great, and the changes they've made to expand from your little purview in the game to understand the wider world as a whole is great. You remember when it first started and we saw the scientist in the 60s?
Yeah. The
That's
very first episode.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my
They were
favorite
testing
thing,
places. Yeah.
because we never know in the games exactly how this started. And that really wouldn't translate as well in a show. But yeah, I think I love that change. I love all of
Well, if you recall, remember when I asked you about the Philippines,
it. Hmm.
the lady doctor in the Philippines?
Hmm.
You said that wasn't even in the game. I had no idea because I thought it was great background. I thought it was great for the world building, and it really helped place that this is a worldwide problem, not just a problem involving Joel and Ellie. So I think that was really great too. Kadeem, so we touched on Last of Us pretty in depth. We're both super high on it, super excited about next week. Let's jump into something else. We've been talking comics. We've been fans. We've been on and back and forth about Marvel, DC. We do the whole song and dance all the time. State of Marvel going forward. Is it possible to ever recapture the excitement that they had? Because I went and saw Ant-Man a couple weeks ago, and it just feels kind of like we're just running in place with these movies at this point. While I like Kang and I like the actor who plays him. Why is his name escaping me right now? Jonathan Majors. I just felt like it's just kind of running in place. It's not going anywhere for me. What do you think? I know you've been out on Marvel a little bit longer than I have. What do you think going forward?
I think at this point, Marvel has become a victim of its own success. They hit a high and they ran with it for about 5 or 6 years straight of, for the most part, really good movies, really connected. And it actually felt like you needed to watch all of them to get to the story.
Right.
They had a 10-year run, and then it hits Thanos, the culmination of the entire universe. The culmination of the entire Marvel universe comes together. 2-movie epic. And I almost want to compare it to WrestleMania, where you get a culmination of storylines at WrestleMania. You get title fights, you get an exhaustion of everything we've been doing. And then the next day, it's 2 new people in the ring. I should be the champ. I should do this. And it starts all over. And that's what it feels like now. We've seen it all kind of. I don't think they hit so high on the mountaintop that now pretty good feels kind of deflating.
Yeah. And even I really like Doctor Strange. I didn't feel like I had to go see Multiverse of Madness. Like I didn't feel like I had to be there for some of these movies recently. And that's a problem. That's not what Marvel's going for. Like they need you to be at the movie theaters. They need you to see the movies. It doesn't feel like must-see TV anymore. And for what, like you said, 10 years, it felt like we had to go see those movies. We had to know what was happening next. We had to see that end credit scene to know we could be seeing a new character could be in a cut scene. It doesn't feel like you have to be there anymore. The TV shows have kind of watered it down for me also. I've only seen a couple because, I just don't think it matters the way it used to matter.
Yeah.
Now that could just be me. They're doing okay financially. Obviously, they're doing all right. They're not going to miss my money, but it just feels like they've really slowed down the interest that they used to have.
And now, you can only put so much of a product out on schedule because they have schedules, 3, 4, 5 years in advance of what's coming out. And I think what that does is if anything needs more time, it delays everything else. So you kind of put it out as is. And it's funny, like everyone who likes the Hulk desperately wants more of the Hulk because they weren't satisfied with what they got from the end of Endgame and Infinity War. And we don't get Hulk, but we get Scar and She-Hulk.
Which
it's like, what, you're taking bits of storylines that we want and putting them where they really don't belong.
Yes.
And I think that's the part that really hurts us.
Yeah, and then he just all of a sudden Scar's there, and you're like, okay. And then Hulk gets hit by a truck, and he's knocked over. I just hate the whole Hulk storylines. Really sucked. Since Edward Norton left, he sucked. Like he's been really bad.
I liked it up until the end of Ultron was really the end of Age of Ultron was really the end of the Hulk.
Yeah.
Ragnarok, I didn't care for. Infinity War, we didn't see him, and Endgame was Endgame.
Well, yeah, he was in the Hulkbuster suit. He wasn't even. Yeah, no. So we're pretty much on the same path right here. It's going to be near impossible for them to recapture that jolt of energy that they had, when we first saw Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor on the screen together. It's going to be really hard to get back there.
And they say, like, they want Majors to be a Thanos level villain, right? That's what they're saying. He's the next Thanos level villain. And I think Jonathan Majors is a fine actor. I think he can deliver a great villain, but let's just say he is. We have Shuri, Ant-Man, who?
Thor, still kind of.
Okay, so Thor, if he comes back with his daughter, whatever's happened with the Guardians, and the martial artist,
Or
Chang,
what can I think of his name?
it's the one Simone Liu plays.
But yeah, I mean, they're the new team.
Yeah, and we have
Sam Wilson,
Black Widow, and it's kind of like, this team is great if we're taking on Hydra,
yeah.
but we're not. what, what do we want this team to do?
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like it's just not there for me anymore, and that's unfortunate because we spent a lot of time at the movie theater watching these guys, watching these stories, for it to just kind of end, and it's never going to feel the same again, unfortunately. That's enough bashing Marvel or whatever you want to call that. DBZ Budokai 4.
Yes.
It's been a while. This was a game that played a lot in my childhood, a lot of Beam Wars with the thumbsticks. What do you think, man? Are you excited about another Dragon Ball Z game? Do you care? Because we've had a lot of Dragon Ball Z content over these last years, but they haven't been, I wouldn't call it fantastic games. Now, these games used to be very, very good. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the announcement of the 4th installment?
So the fact that they're calling it Budokai gives me hope. The recent run of Dragon Ball's games, we had Fighter Z, which was the 2D, Street Fighter type game. But other than that, they've all been in the Xenoverse style, which is kind of the free form. It really feels like you're meant to fight more grunts than it is a one-on-one person in those games.
Right.
But the Budokai, and when it switched to Budokai Tenkaichi, those were the one-on-one super fun battles.
Yes.
I think everybody who played them remembers when you had Goku and you had to hold Raditz and keep him in the line.
Yeah.
Piccolo to charge up the special beam game. Like these games were an insanely huge part of every Dragon Ball's fans' gaming repertoire.
I'm totally with you. I was always big. Like, I wasn't great at the individual fighting, but I loved playing through the storylines.
Yeah.
I loved fighting Frieza. I like just all that stuff. It just brings back so many memories. And now it looks like they're adding in Super Saiyan God. Mm-hmm. So we'll get to have those fights too. As long as they don't make you fight Zamasu and waste your time there, I'm in.
So that's my question: is how deep do they go? Do we get Tournament of Power? Do they go?
I would hope so, because that'd be pretty cool to do.
Like, do we get Ultra Ego? Do they go to the manga stuff? Because at this point, that stuff's popular. Like, everybody knows Ultra Ego.
I wonder if they stop at Broly.
I think you at least have to get Broly. Like, that's where you have to. You have to get at least there.
I think stopping at Broly would be fine. I think Super should have stopped at Broly. This has gone on for a while now.
I actually would have been okay with that.
And that movie was not great, but it was very, very beautiful to watch.
Oh yeah, it was fun.
But so yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to play the storyline and see where it goes. That takes us into our first draft. We're going to do some of these every week. Mm-hmm. These are pretty popular, but you and I are going to do our favorite MC draft. Mm-hmm. Now, we're doing anime characters, correct?
Yes, anime and manga.
Let's see. I'm going to give you the first pick because I doubt you pick anybody I'm going to want, knowing you. So your first pick is going to be who?
I'm going with Guts, the Black Swordsman from Berserk.
Guts. Now, what makes you like Guts so much? He's very popular.
So if you haven't followed Berserk is one of the most well-written narratives I've ever seen. It's not for everybody. It can get a little dark, but it's great. Guts is pretty much a symbol of strength and just perseverance, just pushing forward. He carries an incredibly long sword called the Dragon Slayer. And his thing is like, even when he's dying, even when he's hurt, he just has to keep swinging. Like, he can't afford to die before his enemies do. Guts is by far my favorite character in manga or anime.
Okay. Great pick. from the little bit I've read of Berserk, he's really, really such a badass. It's hard to even like that sword. When people like when he swings it at people, they're just in awe of like his power, and that's such a cool. My pick is going to be I'm going with Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist / Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That's probably my favorite anime. I just love it. I love the idea of the alchemy and what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Ed. Just the adventure that they go on, the way he goes to try to get his brother's body back, Alphonse. The whole story just wraps you up. You get greed, you get all the sins, and they have these. They just love it. And then the dad that is gone turns out to be he is the all father type guy.
Okay.
Edward Elric always has done it for me. He is my first draft pick.
Okay.
All right. Who are you taking second?
Joseph Joestar from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Now, I assumed he would be in your draft. Give us a little bit of reason why.
JoJo's is a unique series in that every season is broken up and called a part. Every season has a different main character because it follows the lineage of the Joestar family. And Joseph is really the coolest of them. He's on screen for about 30 seconds and he kills a vampire with a Tommy gun. So it won me over. Joseph is the coolest. He's the Joestar we see the longest. He's the most fun. He's the best Joestar, followed by Jotaro.
Do they all wear different colors?
Yes.
What color does he wear?
Joseph is the one who wears like the half shirt kind of.
Okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to double check. My next pick is going to be Yusuke Urameshi from he is the best spirit detective there ever was. Everybody knows it. He fights in the best tournament arc of all time that ends with him fighting Toguro, who is one of my favorite villains because I'm a meathead and I just love the fact that he turns into a monstrous muscle machine.
I think I've seen that fight.
Oh yeah, he wears like the little black glasses.
Didn't his skin get darker?
Yeah, because his body just turns into just pure muscle, and Yusuke turns out to be an S tier demon, and just goes all the way through. His laid back, badass nature just really drew me in. So I'm going to draft Yusuke at my second spot. Who is your third spot?
Katano Ken from Sunken Rock. The main character, the boss of the gang. He's my favorite because of the switch that he does. He goes from really kind of a jerk off, like he doesn't take anything seriously. He's trying to duck out of all his responsibilities. But when it comes time for a fight, he makes a switch and becomes a monster in a human skin. And like he scares people with his aura alone, pretty much. It's an absolutely amazing character. If you can appreciate comedy in a series, you'll love Sunken Rock.
Good pick. I'm going to draft Ikko Makinuchi, my favorite boxer of all time, from Hajime no Ippo. He has a dynamic where he is a kid that goes from being beat up, bullied at school, but he has a background where he works on fishing boats and things like that. So he has insane balance and he has like such great lower body that his punches are stupid strong. And he runs into Takamura, who is the best boxer in Japan. And if he can finish this test of grabbing 5 leaves it's 10 leaves with each hand, he can start training boxing. And on the 5th day, he does it. And he has such a demeanor about him. He's low key. He's a nice guy. Gets embarrassed easily, but when he gets in the ring, he is a monster. And just love that dynamic where he can, flip that switch from being that goofy guy outside the ring to one of the best boxers in Japan and potentially in the world. I've always been a big fan of Ippo. So I'm going to take him as my third pick.
Okay.
Who is your fourth?
This is where things started to get dicey. I went with Anos Voldigold.
Okay.
And I will be honest. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'll say Anos, but I have to make a change later. I'm going to go Anos just because I only watch his series for him. His series is objectively very, very bad. But he himself,
That's a great way to describe something.
Oh my goodness, it's hilarious. He himself is he himself is outstandingly funny. There's a scene where somebody kills him and he comes right back and everybody's confused and he just says, did you think killing me would be enough to make me die? And it's just ridiculous stuff like that he's the reason I watched the show. So I'll put him at 4 and I'll make my change with my next pick.
All right, I'm going to draft Spike from Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
Cowboy Bebop just has a vibe that I just have always been drawn to. It's just funky. It's got that intro just gets you move, like it makes you want to move. And I just love his laid back nature, but at the same time, he's a bounty hunter. And I just have always been a fan of his fighting style, the kicks, just his fluidity when he fights. That's that iconic when he lights the cigarette, and I've always been a fan. So I'm going to go with Spike as my fourth. And then this is your fifth and final pick. Who are you taking?
So originally we had Asta on our draft boards.
We're going to take Asta.
I like Asta.
I like Asta too, but I don't know if he's top 5.
But we forgot about somebody. My fifth pick is going to be Prince Boji from Ranking of Kings. Had we not been stupid, he would have been the second pick. I have never rooted for a character to win in anything as much as I rooted for Prince Boji. Okay. Like by the end of the first season, I was like emotional at how far he had come. The first season. There's only one season of Ranking of Kings out, and it's so good that I'd recommend it to anybody. It's absolutely amazing. Prince Boji.
Okay, I like that pick. I've been kind of going back with this. It's either Luffy or Saitama.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with Saitama because I don't know why. I waited a long time to watch One Punch Man, but holy shit, do I enjoy the stupidity, the just nonsense of that show. Just the anime is so funny. Mm-hmm. Like I told you, I love Moomin Rider. Like just the characters they're just, I don't know. And Saitama, like him stealing video games from King just makes me laugh. And he just continuously makes me laugh throughout the show. And then you finally get to see him be One Punch Man. Like nobody else can get the job done. And he just punches them and it's over. And I really enjoyed it. And I think the fights are actually insane when they really get going. They are animated incredibly. When he fought the Alien King guy, the fight was amazing. Like he went to the moon and just jumped back. So I'm going to take him fifth. Luffy is a very close in the running for me. I always love Luffy. I want him to be the Pirate King. His dream, I'm still with him on that. But that is our first draft, 1 through 5 MCs. I like both of our lists. I'm clearly a little more mainstream than you are on your picks. I would say it's a little more mainstream, but I like what you did with yours.
We had honorable mentions. Asta got pushed down. Yeah. But had you picked any of my guys, my next two were 7th on my list was going to be Luffy. Okay. 6th on my list was actually going to be Boruto.
You were going to put Boruto on your list.
Listen.
Before Naruto.
Well, as a show, Naruto is better. Yes. Boruto is a better MC. He is a better main character.
A quick hot take before we move on.
He is a better main character.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
The
All
road is-
right. I don't believe you, but let's move on. We're going to round it up. We got some questions from Twitter. We're going to ask. We're going to get our opinions on that. First, this one's pretty much a layup. Pretty easy one. If you could have one superpower, what would it be? And this was asked by a Moomin Rider account, which is hilarious. All right, go ahead. What superpower would you have if you could have one superpower?
One superpower, just one, and I'm guessing I get the stuff that comes with it.
And let's not be greedy, because then, like, I was gonna say let's not do that, because if you pick the Flash, you get the Speed Force and all that stuff.
Okay,
So let's just do like
just that one power.
not necessarily that you could break the Speed Force.
Okay.
You know,
Give me teleportation.
that would be cool.
It's quick. It's useful and everything. I can steal a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Give me teleportation.
When you said that, I thought of the movie Looper.
That is exactly not Jumper.
Jumper with Anakin, yeah, and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh, my pick. I'm gonna go with invulnerability. I don't know, just nothing hurts you. Nothing can hurt you. That kind of stuff. I don't know. I thought about super strength, but like that's an easy one, so I'm gonna go with invulnerability.
Okay.
Because I could still be pretty strong with that. Our second question: what celebrity would you switch places with right now?
Like right this second, who would I?
You take their life, you take their career, you take whatever they've got.
John Morant. I think I'd make a couple of different choices. I'd care more about being a basketball player than Scarface.
So you want to be suspended and away from your team for now?
Look, if you put my common sense in John Morant, I think things are on the upturn.
Okay. Kadeem Wick takes over Ja Wick's body. Okay, I'm gonna pick. That's a tough one. I probably want to be like an actor, so I'm trying to think of what actor would I want to be. I'm gonna pick Timothy Chalamet, because at the same time I would have a good resume already, but that dude's gonna be working for the next 50 years, and he's gonna have whatever movie choices he wants. He's an award-winning quality actor. Like, so I feel like I would just have like a crazy longevity, and I could work on any movie I want. So I'm going to pick him because I think he's got career prospects that go way beyond.
Okay, that's fair.
And then last question. This is from Jenna on Twitter. What are some major differences between growing up today and when we grew up? What would you say is the biggest?
I think the biggest is probably the use of technology. Like, we still play video games and stuff, but I think we did play outside a little more. And like playing with our friends on the game meant like our friends were over at our house.
Yeah.
Playing the games versus like online gaming kind of connected the world and made it so we didn't have to see them in person as much. So I'd say that is probably the biggest, just technology in general.
That's a good answer. Mine answers, I mean, it's right around the same lines. We didn't have social media. Like we didn't tweet our friends. We called them. We like went and saw them. We didn't, like, people weren't bullied online the same way. Like, you couldn't just send a message to somebody and say whatever you wanted. It like got said on the playground and then it went from there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like you just said, like, I used to ride my bike to my friend's house. Like, it just, there's a big difference. I don't think playing sports and things are the same way it used to be. I feel like that's changed too. Like, kids don't play sports as much. Like, it's about being on the computer. It's about being on the iPad. It's about what are my friends doing, or what is this celebrity doing? It's a big difference now between when we were growing up. When I was growing up, we had to look in the paper to see like the results of like games and stuff. Like, it's crazy. Like, I had to read the paper in the morning to see if my team won late last night because I had to go to bed. Mm-hmm. Like, we didn't have the access the same way. We did. We started to, but like, when we were still young, we had to do things differently. So I think what you said, technology, is a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to piggyback off of that. I think technology's really changed the way people handle their business.
Yeah.
All right, Kadeem, that is episode 1 of Off Topic. How do you feel, man? I think we had a good one. Off Topic episode 1 is in the books. We first off, I want to say thank you guys, whoever listens to this, whoever views this on YouTube. We're going to put our links in the bios.
Yeah.
Deem, how do you think it went? First episode in the books.
I thought it went good. I'm excited to keep doing this, get to have our usual talks and have an audience for them.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're going to put all of our information in the comments, in the bio. Like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We're gonna do this every week. We're gonna try to grow an audience. And we appreciate all of your viewers. Kadeem's house is right next to a racetrack, if you haven't noticed. All right, guys, we're out of here. Thank you.
Thank you, y'all.